How do today's youth inculcate a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian? I've got a bit of reading to do on this one, so hang in there with me. It's a very, very important session. Mohammed Faryun Zartoshty, born in the year 1904 and passed away in 2000, and Mohammed Mehraban Zartoshty from 1917 to 2012, affectionately known as the Zartoshty brothers, are internationally renowned for their philanthropy in the service and well-being of the Zoroastrian community. The Zartoshty brothers hailed from Yazd, Iran. They were educated in Mumbai and returned to Iran, where they reached great heights of prosperity through their businesses prior to the Islamic Revolution of Iran. They abided by the English proverb, "My word is my bond," and admired the English business houses for the integrity and their ethics. Both Faryun and Mehraban implemented their father's wise and invaluable advice to them to set aside a percentage of their profits into a charity account. Day by day and year by year, the charity account grew and ultimately dwarfed what they had kept for themselves. The saving became the seed corn of philanthropy for the Zartoshty brothers, and their philanthropy became legendary. In their lifetime, the Zartoshty brothers were rightly described as the greatest Zoroastrian philanthropists of our times. There were certain very distinct characteristics about their giving. The first was the utmost humility of both brothers, even in situations where they were the largest donors. The Zartoshty brothers always said, "Giving is very easy. It's the project implementation that is difficult, so I thank you for doing this community service." They usually preferred to give their institutions rather than to individuals. The generosity, support, and philanthropy of the Zartoshty brothers was limitless and truly strengthened the Zoroastrian community institution in the UK. The Zartoshty brothers were benefactors and patrons of the Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe, ZTFE, as it was the largest beneficiary of their charities. The ZTFE would not be where it is today without the generosity, support, and inspiration. The 700-seat auditorium at the Zoroastrian Centre for Europe complex in London is named the Zartoshty Brothers Hall in their honour. The ZTFE maintains close association with the family of the Zartoshty brothers. ZTFE organises the annual Varsi, Sal prayers, and Gambar in the memory of Mohammed Faryun and Mohammed Mehraban on their respective death anniversaries in the Zartoshty Brother Hall. The Zartoshty brothers, together with Professor Emeritus Mary Boyce, established Zartoshty Brothers Chair in Zoroastrianism at the prestigious School for Oriental African Studies, SOAS, University of London, the only education institution in the world that has a permanent and established chair of Zoroastrian studies. The Zartoshty brothers separately endowed a large and generous fund to provide full scholarships to Zoroastrian students to pursue Iranian studies and Zoroastrianism. Each year, at least one, if not two, and sometimes three Zoroastrian students are granted scholarships by the ZTFE in order to nurture Zoroastrian scholars of our ancient but wonderful religion and heritage. The Zartoshty brothers left behind a proud legacy with many institutions they supported with their philanthropy. Besides the ZTFE, their charities also assisted Zoroastrian organizations in India, Iran, and North America. The Zartoshty brothers were great bridge builders between the Parsis of India and the Persian-speaking Iranian Zoroastrians. Large sums were endowed to the Bombay Parsi Panchayat for providing educational scholarships and for deserving poor Zoroastrians in Mumbai. They donated sums to the B.D. Petit Parsi General Hospital, the Bill Memorial Hospital in Panchgani, Kama Thornan Madrasa for training young priests, and the K.R. Kama Oriental Institute in its project to preserve Zoroastrian manuscripts and books. The Zartoshty brothers donated the biggest sum to build the line of Mumbai, Sir Firozshah Mehta Bhavan at Mumbai University, and also Sir Firozshah Mehta Library. The Zartoshty brothers' charities helped several associations of the Federation of Zoroastrian Association of North America, the Fazana, and the Atash Behram in Yazd, together with the schools and institutions in their beloved Iran. Secular institutions such as the Red Cross in India, hospitals in America, and educational establishments in the beloved Iran have also benefited from the charities. The Zartoshty brothers are rightly described as the greatest, not the wealthiest Zoroastrians of our times. However, in terms of the proportion of their wealth which they gave away in their own lifetime, they have no parallel. Such noble souls come to a community once in several generations. May the frowshes of the Zartoshty brothers rest in peace, and may their memories always be with us as a model and an example. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next speakers. Speaker 1, who is a representative from the Zoroastrian Association of New Zealand. Can I please get Mr. Danny Master?
Yeah. I'm going to start off very quickly and very fast because we don't have much time. Let's say we've got 10 people on the edge of a pool and 6 of them decide to jump in. How many people left at the edge of the pool, please? Any? Just a number, throw it at me. That is incorrect. There's 10 people. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a big difference between someone deciding to do something and someone actually doing it. Unfortunately, an immunity to change is something we as Zoroastrians face all through our lives and our generations have faced before us. Thankfully, we're not alone in facing this. We've got women's rights, we've got sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, we've got one more thing on this list, climate change, which previous generations really needed to have dealt with by now, but it's on us to put right. So, in identifying that we are not alone in facing the issues we face today, I drew some parallels to Abraham Lincoln's December 1862 speech, which I really don't want to get wrong. And he made this to the second annual meeting of Congress, and it's relevant to the current question: how do we inculcate a sense of pride? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must this enthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our countries, or in this case, inculcate a sense of pride in Zoroastrian youth. Considering that the religion is at a precipice, actualizing questions about pride and identity, which we will cover today, which become very relevant. In the theme of not being alone, it was quite comforting to me that while Zoroastrianism is a unique religion, its basic teachings are quite in line with what many other major religions teach us. So, however, there are things we do, like compassion and following the golden rule and the platinum rule, which make us stand apart from the crowd. So much so that when he was writing his magnum opus on morality and philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche chose to use Zoroastrianism and Zarathustra as a lens for the religion, as a lens for morality and philosophy. He did it with Thus Spake Zarathustra in 1883, and he carried it on through his sequels in 1887 and 1889. But to perpetuate the core of the religion and to instill a sense of pride, we first need to find common ground. All right. So, while Zoroastrianism has spread all over the world, the problems we face is getting people across various cultures, but the same religion, to agree on something. And in identifying this, I posed questions to a few of my friends to see if we were still united as a religious community. The first question was, what does being a Zoroastrian mean to you? So let's take a look at what some of them said.
Being Zoroastrian to me means being part of a unique fraternity or group of people whose values are based on good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, and who every day strive to fulfill those values through their everyday actions.
To me, being Zoroastrian means being part of one of the oldest religions in the world, which I find really cool, as well as really connecting with the simple teachings of good thoughts, good words, good deeds.
And that's followed by the Victoria's Secret fashion show after that.
So the next question is how you'd introduce Zoroastrianism to someone who's never heard of it before.
How would you introduce someone to the religion who's never heard of it before? I would just tell them how amazing it is to be part of such a wonderful community. I would tell them how great the food is. If you haven't tried Zoroastrian biryani, you're missing out.
Usually when I describe Zoroastrianism to people, I talk about the history, where it originates from, why it's one of the rarest religions in the world, and also how it's one of the oldest religions in the world as well. Talk about the symbolism of fire and why we worship fire. Talk about heaven and hell, also our core values. A little bit about the Towers of Silence. It usually takes me a good 5 to 10 minutes to talk about Zoroastrianism, I'm not gonna lie.
I am a Parsi, and Parsis are Zoroastrians from India, and Zoroastrianism is a religion that originated in Persia. It's pre-Islamic, and it's one of the oldest in the world, and that usually blows their minds.
And the last question is whether or not you're proud of being a Zoroastrian.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud. What's there not to be proud of? I think controversies aside, we're such an old religion. We've withstood the test of time and war, and the fact that we're still here, practicing our religion, practicing our traditions, I think we must be doing something right. So yeah, I'm pretty proud.
Honestly, I am not proud of our faith because I feel over the many centuries since our faith has existed, we haven't evolved as a community. A lot of the same rules and things that we do when the religion was initially founded are still, we do the same things now without any change. And I hope after this Congress, youth are invigorated to sort of spearhead change and ensure that our community doesn't dwindle.
Yes, I am proud of the culture, the heritage, the camaraderie, the fact that we maintain our identity despite the adversities our forefathers were faced with. I am proud of the way my parents raised me using the teachings of our religion, which subsequently is also the basis of being a good human being. At the end of the day, religion is just a reflection of oneself.
I'm extremely proud to be a Zoroastrian because even though we're such a small community, we've contributed so much to this world, from Tatas to Homi Baba to Freddie Mercury, list goes on, Dadabai Nauroji, who was the mentor of the father of India, Gandhi. So extremely, extremely proud to be a Zoroastrian.
Sorry, that's all the videos I have for you today. So how do you inculcate a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian? About being a Zoroastrian? Sorry. Okay, so William Blake once said, "Great things are done when men and mountains meet." So how did that happen? Well, let's start at the beginning. There was a man who was literally named Old Camel or Guide, who became the forefather of our religion, who became a prophet. Events called World Congresses reunite believers who might have been neighbors were it not for incursions and dysphorias. And an initiative was activated in an adopted motherland to perpetuate Parsi progeny. How do you inculcate a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian? Be a Zoroastrian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Couldn't have done it better. Absolutely great. Moving on to our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen. She's having a graduate with a law degree from King's College in London. She's worked for the Financial Ombudsman Services, which is an alternative dispute resolution organisation based in Canary Wharf. Her main interests include dance, which is grade 7 ballet, and of course volunteering in the Zoroastrian community in London very effectively. The Young Zoroastrian Chair, she's delighted to have the opportunity to speak to the delegation today at the World Youth Congress on a topic that is very close to her heart. She's passionate about instilling a strong sense of pride in today's youth about our rich Zoroastrian identity and heritage. She plans to address the topic by discussing the tenets of Zoroastrianism that have particular meaning and significance to youth in their everyday lives. Just coming straight to the topic. So what it means to be a young Zoroastrian in the UK specifically, and how the youth are carrying forward the Zoroastrian flame for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shazneen Munshi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here today to talk to you about how do today's youth inculcate a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian. As Young Zoroastrians Chair in the UK, I'm passionate about making a positive difference to our community through volunteering and organising a wide range of fun activities, regular events and trips for our youth, as well as the wider community. This has resulted in a growing number of YZs getting involved in the community, strong friendships and bonds being established, and a sense of unity as a community being revitalised. Having lived in small suburban, quintessentially English towns far away from London for most of my life, it was interesting growing up in the UK. My parents were first-generation migrants from India and Kenya, having settled in London in the late 1970s. For one thing, we were the only Indian family in my neighbourhood, and I was one of a handful of Asian children at school. Secondly, most people had never heard of Zoroastrians, and the most common response would be, "Did you say you were a Rastafarian?" Which was entertaining to say the least. Thirdly, we lived very far from our Zoroastrian centre in London, which meant visits were rare and interaction with other Zoroastrian children was minimal or practically non-existent. And finally, seeing the looks of interest on your classmates' faces as you got changed for sport at school with your Zartoshty showing would be amusing as you explained the significance of these garments. So there were many challenges. However, I've always felt a strong sense of pride and joy about being a Zoroastrian and explaining this to others. Having grown up in a traditional Zoroastrian Parsi family, I've understood the core values and experienced our religious customs and traditions from an early age. Whenever I visited our Zoroastrian centre in London as a young child, it was indeed a very special experience to feel part of a majority rather than a minority. Seeing our community together, our religious traditions and joyful celebrations, experiencing the warm glow of the fire and the aromatic scent of sandalwood, and seeing Parsi animated characters speaking fast in Gujarati filled me with a strong sense of pride, belonging and warmth. I'd always wanted to get involved with and go to Zoroastrian Centre, but the fact of the matter was that I lived too far away, really nearly 2.5 to 3 hours away from our Zoroastrian Centre to regularly attend as a child, and therefore to build those childhood friendships. This meant that as I grew up in my late teens and early 20s, whenever I went to our Zoroastrian Centre for Navroz, I didn't know any other YZs, and it was intimidating a group of young Zoroastrians who had known each other from childhood, and perhaps formed cliques. So when events were organised, they were naturally within established friendship groups and not advertised to the YZs at large. I was generally quite disheartened, but I realised I had to do something to change this for myself and perhaps for others. So I thought the best way for me to get involved would be to meet other YZs and join the committee, taking the first step by attending an event on my own and then helping to organise regular events. The rest, as they say, is history. For the last 2.5 years, I've been heavily involved in the YZ committee. I started as a volunteer and was then elected YZ chair. It has honestly been the best thing that I've ever done, and I would never imagine that I would be attending, let alone representing the UK youth at a World Zoroastrian Congress. So, with all of this in mind, I'm now going to address my topic about how today's youth inculcate a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian from the UK perspective. The word inculcate comes from the Latin word inculcare, meaning to instill and to teach. I would like to talk about how our youth instill this sense of pride within themselves as well as within other youth. Over the last 50 years, Zoroastrians have dispersed and settled abroad. For our UK youth as second or even third generation migrants, this has meant that we've had to adapt while still preserving the legacy of our religion. So, for example, it may not be practical to pray the 5 Ks daily or wear your Zartoshty all the time, such as for sports or swimming. However, our UK youth can still continue to practice the values of Zoroastrianism, engage in religious traditions, and embrace their Iranian or Parsi cultural identity with pride, for example, by attending and celebrating special occasions in the Zoroastrian calendars such as Parab, Jashns and Navroz. Our UK youth in the UK today continue to be honest, industrious and charitable, reflecting the values that have ensured the survival of our religion and ethnic identity for the last 3,000 years, particularly with the global dispersion of our population. Good thoughts, good words and good deeds. These values resonate strongly with our UK youth who have achieved educational, professional success and personal development. We have a large number of youth who have flourished and excelled in many fields, including medicine, law, accountancy, IT, entrepreneurship, and the academia. Charity. As the famous Mahatma Gandhi quotes, "Parsi thy name is charity," young Zoroastrians in the UK have continued this legacy of giving, working towards improving our local community through volunteering, charity work, educational and social initiatives. For example, volunteering at local citizens' advice bureaus, senior citizens' homes, and completing charity runs. The Young Zoroastrian Committee in the UK plays a fundamental role in engaging our youth to get involved and feel a strong sense of pride about being a young Zoroastrian. Our YZ Committee in the UK consists of 7 members, including Jessica Todiwala and Erva Jimmy Madden, who are both here today, and myself. Through organising a wide range of fun activities, regular events, we have engaged a growing number of YZs to get together with their fellow Zoroastrians, and we hope to continue to inspire future generations. Ice skating, bowling, nights out in central London, themed parties, a day trip to the seaside, and our annual weekend trip to the Asha Centre, a UK-based charity founded by our dear Vania are just a few of the kinds of things that we get up to. Here's a selection of some of our favourite photos from the past year. Social media has been invaluable for our UK group to grow into a strong, cohesive unit, with our online Facebook group reaching over 300 strong young Zoroastrians. This is one of the main platforms we use to engage our youth and advertise our events, and where our young Zoroastrians can post interesting articles. I've also written a number of articles for ZTFE and the wider community press, for example in Jammu Jamshid newspaper, to raise awareness of what we are all doing together in the UK. In the UK, our official Zoroastrian Centre and place of worship is based in a beautiful listed Art Deco building in Harrow, London. This is where the majority of our community events and YZ activities take place, and the building also houses our sacred Zartoshty. However, according to the most recent UK census, the Zoroastrian population in the UK is estimated at around 4,100, making up just 0.007% of the UK population. Given our numbers and our sparse population, as well as geographical distances from the Zoroastrian Centre and from each other, how then do we maintain a sense of community identity as young Zoroastrians? The YZ Committee has worked hard to strengthen community identity and bonds for our UK youth through organising events for the wider community where YZs can get involved as participants as well as volunteers. One of our key YZ initiatives in London has been organising and hosting regular monthly Gymkhana evenings at our Zoroastrian Centre. Similar to Parsi Gymkhanas in Mumbai, we welcome Zoroastrians from all ages, from YZs and children to parents and grandparents, to socialise and engage with each other through a wide range of activities and games. For example, we've had karaoke, quiz nights, salsa and Bollywood dance nights. We've had it all. In my view, it is really important for the younger generation to understand and experience the meaning and significance of our customs and traditions, and visit our sacred places of worship. For example, understanding the significance of wearing your sadra and kasti. This then creates a sense of pride and appreciation in the great beauty of our religion. In London, we have the Extra Young Zoroastrians XYZ children's educational classes, called the Fun Club, and led by a team of 5 dedicated teachers and volunteers, including myself and Erva Jimmy Madden, a teenagers discussion group and a parents discussion group, all running simultaneously on the second Sunday of each month at our Zoroastrian Centre. The key objective of the class is to help the children learn about the fundamental teachings of Zoroastrianism and how to apply these to their everyday lives and the meaning and significance of our customs and traditions. We have created a comprehensive syllabus for the year, as you can see here, which includes topics relating to our religion, history, customs and culture, stories from the Shahnameh, plus activities and games to ensure classes are fun and interactive. The Fun Club has gone from strength to strength this year, with more and more children participating. This is a key way in which the youth are instilling a sense of pride within other youth about being a young Zoroastrian. Finally, our UK youth have instilled a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian by raising awareness of our faith by attending various interfaith and community events. This has been helped by the recent media spotlight on the UK community, including the first ever live broadcasts of Zoroastrian festivals on BBC News 24 and the BBC One programme Nowruz, the Persian Spring New Year, all being filmed at our Zoroastrian Centre, with some of our XYZs as the main stars. Plus, we've recently had the first UK exhibition on Zoroastrianism and events in the Houses of Parliament to raise awareness of our rich Zoroastrian culture and heritage. In summary, I'm extremely proud to be a young Zoroastrian from the UK. As second or third generation migrants growing up away from our ancestral homes in India and Iran, we have experienced challenges with our dispersion, such as low numbers, sparse population and geographical distances from our community centre as well as from each other. However, the UK youth have come together as a strong, cohesive unit, instilling a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian through adapting to our social environment while still preserving the core essence and values of Zoroastrianism. We are a small community, and it is up to us as the youth leaders to ensure we carry forward the Zoroastrian flame for future generations. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to address you all today. Wishing you all a very happy New Year. May 2016 bring you happiness, health, love and success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shazneen. That was very, very good overview of what you've been up to in the UK, and definitely a lot of ideas for us to take over to our own respective countries when we head back home. All right, our last speaker, Vania, is from Toronto, Canada, but currently resides in Texas of US of A. She's graduated with a Master's of Science in Global Health, and her career goal is to positively affect health and social policies in developing countries. She's currently an associate research scientist with a health economics policy research firm. At a very young age, Ms. Vania has been involved in the Zoroastrian community through volunteering with the Society of Ontario and representing the Fazana at the United Nations, presenting at Zoroastrian congresses and participating in Zoroastrian Return to the Roots program as well. She's authored articles for the Fazana Journal, and her volunteer work has been featured in Synergy Z. Ladies and gentlemen, absolute privilege. Please call upon Vania.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. So, my topic is how do today's youth inculcate a sense of pride about being Zoroastrian, but I'm going to be more practical and talk about how can today's youth inculcate a sense of pride about being Zoroastrian. So, a little about me. I grew up in Canada. Here's my native home. I grew up in Toronto. Toronto has the largest Zoroastrian population outside of Bombay. I think currently we have about 7,000 or 8,000 Zoroastrians. In Toronto, we have a large population, but sometimes youth can be a little cliquey. So growing up, I didn't really attend religious classes. We went to a few Zoroastrian functions, and I was proud to be a Zoroastrian, and I knew that I was part of a special, unique community, but I didn't realize how special, how unique, and how proud I could be. And two things really started my realization of how great a community it was. First was my participation at the 2007 Toronto North American Congress, and I realized how cool and fun young Zoroastrians can be. And second was participating in the Zoroastrian Return to Roots program, which we'll talk about later this afternoon. and now I live in Texas. So to me there's three components to instilling a sense of pride about being a Zoroastrian. First, it comes with understanding the religion, understanding our history, our different aspects of our religion. We constantly hear about the dwindling population, so it's important that we support youth in understanding the different aspects and the history to carry on our traditions. When we're taught about the history of our sacred texts, or learn about the art of custy weaving, we appreciate that our religion is so old and has so many customs that need to be carried on throughout the next generations. Next, I think experiencing is really important. So whether that's returning to India or Iran to experience and learn about Zoroastrianism and our heritage, I think that's so important. Reading or hearing about our history is just the first step to really appreciating where our ancestors came from. Praying in ancient fire temples and witnessing priests perform our religious ceremonies can make one feel more connected to our religion than perhaps praying in our local Derby American. Seeing the impact that Zoroastrians have had on India, especially Mumbai, has really opened my eyes to the entrepreneurial and philanthropic nature of our community. And of course, the delicious food. And the last major component I feel is important is cultivating passion, and that can be done at home or abroad. We belong to an ancient religion that has persevered throughout history, and we've made great contributions to society on local, national, and international levels. Our rich history and culture provides today's youth with a solid foundation to thrive in fields of art, medicine, and business. Enabling youth to see and experience our history and immerse themselves in our culture and traditions is necessary to cultivate passion and pride about being Zoroastrian. For example, after the Return to Roots trip, where we experienced the religion and culture and history, so many participants expressed that we now feel we belong to something that's bigger than us, and we understand the reasons behind our religious practices, and I think that makes us feel more connected and proud to be part of the Zoroastrian community. So yeah, that's it, short presentation.